Well, hello friends. Ollie here, about to go for another drive, and I thought I would drop a little loaf of that sweet bread for you. Today's quote comes to us from Joseph Campbell, and he says, "The mighty hero of extraordinary powers is each of us, not the physical self visible in the mirror, but the king within." So Joseph Campbell, if you recall, spent his life studying and analyzing and comparing the different myths and religious disciplines of the world. And according to him, there is only really one myth or one story being repeated over and over again. And he calls it the monomyth. He also calls it the hero's journey. And in this quote, he illustrates why mythology is still relevant to everybody alive today. Because as he says, the hero of legend is not Hercules, it's not Gilgamesh, it's not Achilles, and it's not any of the other countless mythological heroes whose stories have captured our imagination for centuries. That is not the hero. The hero is each of us. Not the physical self in the mirror, as he says, but the king and queen dwelling within. The self that I keep talking about in these videos and in other videos. The core of what and who you are. That is the hero. And the hero's journey is the hero discovering who and what he or she is. The awakening of the self to itself. And in order for that to happen, there has to be a death and a resurrection. This is not a literal death. I'm not saying that we have to commit suicide or perish in an accident before we can be reborn. In fact, that is impossible. What I'm saying is we have to experience a kind of death of the personality. Ego death. All my life I have been identifying as Oliver, the French-Canadian guy who loves martial arts and who loves to write, and this has been my identity this whole time. The guy who has to be right. The guy who knows all of the answers. The guy who wins every argument. That guy. For years, that was who I thought I was. That person had to die before I could be born again. That's what all of these mythological stories are about. It's about a departure from the everyday life we've been bred to accept as reality. The discovery of something more. And then our return to the everyday as something new. When you set off on the journey, you are that ego personality. But as you progress deeper and deeper into the unknown, you start to lose bits and pieces of that. And of course, this culminates in the ego death, the slaying of the monster, whether it's a dragon or some other monstrosity. The journey takes place within. The monster is the ego, and you come face to face with it in the deepest pits of the psyche. You slay it, you absorb it, and then you return to the external world of the everyday. Reborn. You're no longer the same person you were when you set off on this journey. That person died, and now you are the king or the queen that dwells within. The very same one that Joseph Campbell is referring to in this quote. This is the immortal self that I've been talking about, that so many others in different traditions have been talking about. Whether you call it Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, the Atman or the self, the Logos, the guiding principle that Marcus Aurelius makes reference to. I mean, there are endless variations of this concept, and none of them are true. All of them are pointing to a reality that can't be described. It can be found, it can be experienced, but it cannot be described, save through symbols and allegory. So quit listening to this. Turn off YouTube. Get the fuck out of here. Go within and find the self. Be reborn, okay? And then you will see what freedom is like. And most importantly of all, don't forget, that you have everything you need in yourself to be the person that you want to be and to achieve the goals that you set your mind and your heart to. You don't need anybody's help. You don't need anything else. It's all within. And also, don't forget to live well.